Hey, Benson, thanks so much for the thoughtful questions. I'll jump right in. Your first question was around does the US still believe in slash celebrate individualism? Having been born and raised in Canada, I think I bring somewhat of an outsider insider type perspective to this. And so I'd say that on a relative basis, relative to other countries, I do think that the US is still somewhat more pro individualism, somewhat easier to be an idiosyncratic person in the US than in most other countries. Still more of a celebration of sort of unique people and personalities than most other countries. But the trend line is going in the wrong direction, in my opinion. It's going in the wrong direction, away from a celebration of individualism very quickly. And I might have a very different answer a year from now, and that is certainly for me cause for concern. And I'm very committed on my end to doing whatever I can to foster more celebration of individualism. One manifestation of that is the work that we do at Bedrock and backing these one-of-a-kind companies, these entrepreneurs, and there are certainly other ways in which we're very, very committed to trying to maintain a celebration of individualism in the US. But I do think the trend is going in the wrong direction. Relatively, still pretty good place to be a unique individual and relatively good. Second question was around character traits of entrepreneurs. Can't really answer this one, and the reason why is I don't believe in this concept of central casting for entrepreneurs. And so you'll hear some investors talk about, that founder's right out of central casting. It's sort of the Stanford CS dropout or the Harvard CS dropout. And you try and pattern match the founders to other founders. And then in practice, I think the founder is always, it needs to be idiosyncratic to the company. And so there's this, sense in which the Lyft, the companies I've invested in, at this point I've invested in over 50 companies. The Lyft founders would not have been able to have founded Nubank in Brazil, and you sort of need these very different character traits for those two companies. The Wish founder Peter would not is a phenomenal founder for that business. Would not be the right founder for RigUp, and so there's sort of these different character traits you need dependent on the company. I will say that I do think that one commonality between all the best founders that I've worked with personally has been they have these opposing poles within them. On the one hand, there's this they sort of exude this confidence, and then on the other hand, there's this sort of insecurity, this chip off one's shoulder, this something to prove type thing. And so it's this juxtaposition of like, confidence, someone you really believe has it together and clearly has this phenomenal belief in themselves and in their vision, and then that's juxtaposed against this sort of insecurity. But that's just been from my observation and experience. And then your last question is around going along one country, what would it be? I think implicit in the question is you'd want a country that would be sort of quite decoupled from the US. And I would actually take it a step further. So if you're going along a country that's not the US is a big country. There's a lot that one could do in the US. There's lots of things one could do in that country. And so if I was going to go along another country, I'd want it to be very decoupled from the US. And moreover, I'd want it to be decoupled from every other country, be able to operate quite independently in the same way that, frankly, the United States can operate sort of quite independently, doesn't have that many dependencies relative, again, to other countries. It has relatively fewer dependencies than most other countries. My candidate would be India, in that while a large swath of the society is living in poverty, it's actually really, really sad to see that. You do have a growing middle class. You do have a very large domestic market. You do have a very strong sense of a community. I've observed and heard from my friends that live there. There's a very strong sense of societal cohesion within communities for the most part. There are, of course, exceptions to this within India. It's a really big country, which is one of the reasons I like it as a market and as a country. And because it's so big, there's a sense in which it doesn't have that many external dependencies and is very decoupled from the US. It's very decoupled from the US. If I had to go along one I'd probably pick India at this point if I had to go along one non-US country. The obvious one for me would be Canada, given I'm from there, but I think it's just extraordinarily linked to the US and may even be worse off than the US in some weird ways that I won't get into right now. Thanks a lot. See you later.